I have a big, strong content library. It comes up from anything from financial literacy to industry insights to even just like, welcome to the team. Here's what gets you started. But I'm like, we got to get some original content from our ambassadors. And so I said, here's a challenge. What is something that you are good at or that you've experienced that you can share with your audience that would resonate? So one of the girls just bought a home and she shared tips on here's my process I went through buying my first home. And she only had access to that content. One of the mortgage lenders on my team, he shared tips on building a relationship with a realtor. So all those things are resonating with who they are, what they do, and then it's going to connect to their individual audiences better than just putting that library content out there. Now that library content, I believe wholeheartedly is important, but having that being empowered and having those real human connections with your audience is so important.
Welcome to the Internal Marketing Podcast, the unique podcast series that flips the marketing conversation from external to internal, exploring all the ways that companies can build a brand and drive growth by engaging and empowering its employees to become effective ambassadors of the company brand. I'm your host, Kerry-Ann Stimson, and I'm very happy to bring you this case story episode where we'll be sharing practical insights into how Civista Bank successfully implemented its employee ambassador program. So, if you're thinking about starting your own employee ambassador or advocacy program, then you're going to want to stick around for this conversation. But first, this season's sponsor is Workshop, the #1 email tool for internal communications. They created a delightful weekly newsletter for marketing and comms professionals called the Happy Monday Club. If you could use a dose of practical resources, examples of incredible company cultures, and ideas for bringing fresh thinking to your work, then this is the newsletter for you. Every Monday, the workshop team puts together an inspiring list of articles from some of the world's top workplaces, helpful email and internal comms templates, and the occasional giveaway or surprise. Join over 30,000 comms and marketing professionals and sign up now at happymondayclub.com. Now, let's jump into this conversation with my featured guest, Autumn Jose. Autumn is the social media marketing coordinator at Civista Bank, and she'll be sharing how Civista successfully implemented its employee ambassador program. Hi, Autumn. Thank you so much for joining me on the Internal Marketing Podcast. I'm very excited to have you.
Hi, Carrie Ann. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and share my thoughts on our exciting ambassador program we have here at the bank.
Well, I'm glad you're excited. I don't know if you're as excited as I am because, well, first of all, this conversation is the first case story conversation that I'm recording for season 4. So I'm excited, right? I
Wow.
love case story conversations because what case stories do is that we really take the time to shine a spotlight on some great companies who are doing internal marketing and employee advocacy very, very well, because I think it's great to hear those stories because we get to see how the theory translates to the practical. We connected on LinkedIn, right? So I,
Yes.
I think I did a post around the whole topic of employee advocacy, and you reached out. We had a conversation, which was great because you were on the journey to implement an employee advocacy program at Civista Bank, which is where you are. And you took whatever our conversation was. I know you did some other research as well, probably spoke to some other folks. You implemented it. And what I loved was that throughout the stages of the journey, you kept me updated on your progress. And here
Yes.
you are. How far deep are you into it now? Like a year and a half or something like that? Or a
It
year?
officially started in March of 2023. So
Okay, great.
we're getting close to that year mark, but we
Hmm.
had some other things going on at the bank that I just had to kind of slowly work my way in, get the team trained, and then we kicked off
Right.
March 1st, and it's been a success ever since, and a
Well,
learning curve
that's
too.
it. Yeah, and I mean, probably what would be the biggest question on my mind is, first of all, could you just give us a quick snippet? Who is Civista Bank, by the way? I mean, we know Bank of America and Wells Fargo and the big guys, but you guys are doing your thing too. So just tell us a little
Yes,
bit about Civista Bank.
absolutely. I'm very proud to work for Civista Bank. I've been here for 12 years in the marketing department. We are a community bank headquartered in Sandusky, Ohio, which is right along that Lake Erie shoreline. Beautiful
Uh-huh.
area. We're a full service bank. We have everything from consumer, mortgage, business, commercial leasing, and wealth management. And we have, let's see, 43 locations across Ohio and down into southeastern Indiana and northern Kentucky.
Awesome, awesome. And I love community banks for many reasons, probably most of which I feel like they do such a great job of getting close to their customers in a way that a lot of the bigger banks probably otherwise could not. And that has always been my
Exactly.
view. I mean, confession, of course, for those who've been following me for a while, I've been a financial services marketer now for probably like 20 odd years. And so this is my industry. So to have this conversation with you as a fellow financial institution is even more exciting. But having worked with the community-sized organizations as well in my own market, I get the same sentiment. My next question then would be Autumn, because we've already started to talk about the awesome success you've been having with the
Mhm.
implementation of your own employee advocacy program at Civista. But kind of take us back a little bit. What drove the decision to implement it anyway? I mean, whose idea was it? Why did you go about moving in that direction?
This is a great question. Uh, I'll go way back in 2016. We officially started on social media with our bank pages, just started out on Facebook and LinkedIn. And as you know, in the banking industry, it's heavily regulated. So we have a lot of rules we have to follow. And within even in social media realm, we're, kind of limited what we can discuss as employees online in that capacity. So we have like the like and share only on our bank post. And, it's got done that for years and years, and our engagement was not that great across the board. And it just started to bother me. And I'm like, we need to find a way to bring our employees into this action because our employees are the ones that are the front faces of our customers. They know our brand more than anyone. And they are those advocates that we can lean on within those communities that we serve. So I just started brainstorming and I'm like, I'm going to bring it up to my boss and ask her, what do you think? What do you think about having a team of people that is outside of marketing that can come in and share their experiences, share their stories, and be part of that brand piece. And she loved the idea. And this was what, like August, September of 2019. I'll never forget it. So I'm starting, okay, I'm educating myself and learning. And then breaks hit, pandemic hit, and everything got put on the burner. And I was so frustrated because I really, really wanted 2020 to be the year that we kicked this off, and it didn't happen. So I just kinda stuck in there and just started educating myself, and I have a social bankers group that had a couple people upon there that already had programs like this, and I just learned, and I just took that time to learn, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of lessons out of that, patience and perseverance, but
Yeah.
I stuck in there and I still, kept going with what I believed what that our bank needed with our
Yeah.
employees, so
That's a great, great story. And, I love the fact that you said it outright that, initially you started like a lot of companies did when you're on social media. It's you're trying to manage the risk of having a brand on social. And a lot of companies, and I get it, we have tons of employees. We want to manage the risk of an employee going rogue.
mhm,
So all you can do is like and share. And as you
right.
said it, the engagement rate showed that that didn't work. So,
No,
how can we drive better results by engaging and empowering our people to use their voices responsibly, certainly
right.
on social? And yeah, the pandemic, boy, that's another episode, right? With a bottle of
Huh.
rum. It's,
Oh, yeah.
yes, that put a spoke in so many people's wheels on so many things, but it's great that you stuck with it. And here you
Yes.
are. But if you could kind of just summarize for us, what are the steps that you took to implement the program high level over the
Oh,
period of
yes.
time before launch in March of 2023?
Yes, great question, and, it really starts with that educating yourself because you can't just jump into something and have that plan initially. You have to connect with the right influencers, the right people who've already been there. And if you start out with that, that's gonna take you so much further than you thought you were gonna go. Um, and then just kind of laying that blueprint down of what you how you want it to work. What are your guidelines? What do you want out of your employees to make that happen? So I mean, it was pretty simple, and then of course you have to get buy-in from a higher level. My boss was for it, so now my next step was like I have to get executive leadership to buy in on this. So that was kind of the next step. And then once you get that buy-in, here's my program. How, I have some specific things that I require to be part of this. But just that education piece, that goes a long, long way.
I get it. I get it. And when you talk, because we're going to jump on leadership buy-in next. I mean, you
Mhm,
gave a great segue there. So we're definitely going to jump into that because I know that's a big challenge for a lot of folks who think about going the employee advocacy route.
mhm.
But to kind of jump back to something you would have shared about that education piece. And it's not just education for yourself as a person who will be really monitoring and running the program, but education of the employees of the bank who you want to be a part of it. I mean, what
Yes.
would you say was the winning formula when you talk about educating them? I mean, was it just about the rudiments of how to do it for them? Or did you have to kind of find that what's in it for them to get them excited and that had to be incorporated in the education as well? What would you say was the education light bulb that went off for them that you said that whatever it is that you shared, they said, "Yes, I wanna be a part of this."
Well, funny you asked that because there's a lot of people who I could tell are actively the ones that were actively engaging with our bank post and, through different acquisitions, you could see people when they were at their old institute or the old named institution before we acquired them, they were very active. They were out in the community. They were doing those posts, but then they come and it was like, put on those brakes. You can't, you like and share only." So there was so many people who wanted to do that and, have their voice heard. So those are the ones I reached out to initially. I'm like, "Hey, I'm starting this program. When you see the application come out on SharePoint, apply. I think you would be great to do this." And I think it was just that they wanted to be involved. They had a story to tell, and there's nothing I don't have any carrot dangling in front of their, face. It's just really nice to know they love our brand that much that they want to be part of that face online and bring that brand awareness, tighter together between employees and the brand itself.
I love that you said they love our brand that much, because it really brings to mind for me the importance again of internal marketing and that part of internal marketing where we're engaging our employees in the mission, the vision, the purpose of the brand, getting that connection, that buy-in, and that even emotional connection as well, I
Mhm,
should say, where when you have employees who have love for your organization and what it stands for and their experience there is something that really motivates them to say, "Hey, I want to talk about this place because I just love being a part of it." It's
mhm.
so very important that that layer is taken care of first
Yes.
before you start to think about engaging them. It's so great that you mentioned that. So back again, now forward again, rather to leadership buy-in. I mean, how did those conversations go with the executive level at the C-suite? How did you get them on board with the whole idea of this program?
They bought into this pretty quickly. I was so excited. So my boss, just having my boss, my leader, she was behind me 100%. She knew the importance of this. So that really helped. So she was advocating for me. And I met with senior management, like our executive leaders, HR, compliance, because compliance has a big part, in everything that's going out on a bank's behalf, especially on social media. And we all got together. I built a really great presentation. I backed it up with data and just shared, this is why we need to be out here. Our employees, they're ready to go. They have a story to tell. They have something to say. And it's not just like behind that logo. We need to put a face with that logo. And I got the green light pretty quickly, and it was really nice to have that, and that was, August of 2022, so a little over a year ago, and then I planned out by that November, I have an application that they have to fill out if they are interested in joining, and then I put them through an interview process. So I got all that stuff geared up and, advocated for it in various fashions to communicate, through our bank, and we ended up getting 10 people, that's including myself, so we have 10 active people, and it's been great, and the support we have from executive management and compliance and HR, we try to bring those elements in as well, like, sharing our career culture, and we as ambassadors will go out there and place that on our a post. We might say, "Hey, we're hiring, come join our great team," and so we try to pull them in as well, so kind
Fascinating. One of the things that jumped out at me, well, first of all, kudos to you, and you are really, really lucky and in a great place where the executive buy-in was so easy, So
Mhm.
for those folks who won't have a challenge getting executive buy-in, this conversation is for you.
Yes.
But one of the things that struck me, Autumn, is when you mentioned the whole matter of their filling out an application form and going
Mhm.
through an interview process to be a part
Yes.
of the ambassador program. And what's interesting is that I've never heard of that before. But what I think that's first of all a great approach because it demonstrates a
Mhm.
couple of things. If an employee is going to go through the process of completing an application form and being interviewed, it shows commitment on their part. They're taking this thing
Yes,
seriously, and you want people to take
absolutely.
it seriously. So I love that component. So for you, in terms of your selection process, it makes it easier. It makes it great. Well, I guess I question what then would have motivated or your employees rather to complete the form and go through the interview process. Is it just purely out of love for the brand, or was there some kind of a what's in it for me component of the program that they saw that they said, "Hey, this is going to benefit me if I do this." So I'm going to put myself through the trouble of completing a form and going for an interview like I'm getting a whole new job. I mean, what was that what's in it for them that would motivate them to do that in your view?
I think just making that community connection. So we're based in different regions across Ohio and down in Indiana, and I think each area is so unique, and I mean, I have a whole diverse team. They're from different job levels and experiences. So they're taking what what they know and connecting that with their community. And I think that's what they want. They want to be able to connect what they do at the bank with the community and kind of build their audience out so they can help be that advocate for our brand, share our stories and from their perspective as well. And it just going through that interview process, it just really helps me to understand, like, are they truly wanting to be in line with our core values as a brand? And just making sure they're gonna represent the brand wholeheartedly and not be going off rogue and just doing their own thing because they think they could post on social media, and I have not had any issues. They've been a great group. I mean, I couldn't do it without them.
Autumn, it's really, really fascinating to hear that story because what's in it for me for employees to be a part of a company program like this will vary from company to company. And as you say, the community connection is what could drive some folks. I know in other companies, I've heard things like, well, for those people who have or are on the front line, maybe they're on the sales team and they have
Mhm.
targets to hit. They see a
Right.
benefit in that respect, and that's perfectly fine too, because what they're
Mhm.
doing is they're building their own reputation and brands online, connecting that back to the company brand that they represent. And they're usually the people who will be top of mind for prospective customers when they want to start business. So there's so many benefits. So really, I think what's a masterstroke that Civista would have done through your awesome leadership is really finding the what's in it for me and connecting the dots
Mhm.
right back through to your ambassadors who chose to be a part of the program and were successful in being accepted. Well, I don't want folks to think that it was all, strawberries and cherries and rainbows and
Right.
flowers when you were implementing. I mean, what are some of the challenges that you would have encountered when you were rolling out this program, if any?
Um, I haven't initially didn't have really any challenge. I mean, we got the green light pretty easily, people the interest with people. But I guess just kinda in hindsight, looking back and just, we're going on getting into a year since I had my first round of ambassadors. I just have to say, I just completed our second round of applications and we're going to double. So that right there, that just makes me so happy. But with that,
Love that.
I
Love
I
that.
kind of learned some things through with my first group. I call them my OGs. So, and then we got the newbies coming on. And it's really making sure they're educated on our platform that we utilize because, we went through that initial training and then just kind of going through each month, you see like, oh, somebody forgot to do this, like change their date or change, add the link into the platform to make sure they're linking out to whatever they're trying to connect their story to. And I think it's just making sure they truly understand how to use that because that's really important to be able to understand the tools you're using. So I'll probably do some type of training with my new ambassadors. And with that, making sure they truly know, don't be afraid to reach out to me if you have questions. I mean, that's important. That's what I'm here for. And I guess the second thing is really I have a big, strong content library. I'm always adding to it. It comes up from anything from financial literacy to industry insights to, even just like, welcome to the team. Here's what gets you started. I got pictures, it's got disclosures, but I'm like, we got to get some original content from our ambassadors. And so I said, here's a challenge. What is something that you are good at or that you've experienced that you can share with your audience that would resonate? For example, one of my well, I'll say our team's called the social stars, hashtag social stars. So I wanted to say that. So one of my social stars,
I
they
love that name. Social stars. I love
yes,
it.
and we got a logo and I just got stickers made too.
Oh
So
my
that
goodness.
yeah, it's I love it. I love it so much. But
Oh, that sounds awesome.
but I want them to be empowered and be able to share those unique stories that resonate with them and their audience. So one of the girls just bought a home and she shared tips on here's my process I went through buying my first home. And she only had access to that content, and then we as, the other social stars, we can like and share that, comment on it, engage with her, and then that's gonna just trickle down through our audiences. One of the mortgage lenders on my team, he shared tips on building a relationship with a realtor. So all those things are resonating with who they are, what they do, and then it's gonna connect to their individual audiences better than just putting that library content out there. Now that library content, I believe wholeheartedly is important, but having that being empowered and having those real human connections with your audience is so important. So that's kind of where I'm at in that stage. Let's do this and just get those unique stories. So it's just kind of going back to your question, don't be afraid to let them tell their story. That was, I waited too long and now
Yes.
it's great. I love it.
Well, I'm loving it too. I'm like, okay, everybody who's listening wants to sign up for your Social Stars program. I mean, you really hit the nail on the head with that because first of all, not only are you providing valuable content, so you spoke about your content library. So obviously, you have a wealth of valuable content. But you know what? So many people have valuable content. So many institutions, especially banks, have great content that's valuable, that's educational,
Right.
informative. But it's that human connection part that you said, that
Yes.
not many FIs, financial institutions, have tapped the secret sauce of what it
Mhm.
is to really take your engagement over the edge, which is not only about great content, valuable content, it's about that human connection and engagement and empowering your team to be able to connect with that and share that is really awesome. But I know, Autumn, I know maybe there are some skeptics listening. They're like, okay, that sounds great, but, show me the money. I mean, how do you
Right.
measure success, right? So, how do you prove to that great leadership team who bought in at the beginning, what are you sharing and showing them that has allowed you to continue this way? Because I'm sure you're measuring success and we'd love to hear how.
Yes, great question. So I there's several key indicate performance indicators that I like to track. And I like to take it back to my team, like, look, here's how we're doing, here's how we're engaging, here's I make it fun with my team too. So when we get together as a social stars team, I'm like, I had, some tracking and here's who is the leader on the leaderboard. And I think it motivates them to do better. But with that, I try to track each individual social stars engagement rates. I take a look at what they're posting and, it helps me to make sure that they're really resonating with their audience. And then if I see like, okay, this person's engagement's not as high as it was the month before. So what's changed? Are you posting something different? And then giving them ideas of here, make sure you're tagging people in your posts. Make sure you're connecting all the dots. If you're at a community event, don't just say, hey, it was great to be out here at the Christmas parade. Tag the organization that hosted it, tag the city, tag your whole all your employees, your staff that was involved with that. And that just takes it a step further. So it's kind of showing that growth of each individual. And then I take collectively as a team, all 10 of us, I look like our impressions for the month, here's our engagement for the month, and I calculate an overall engagement rate. So I'm in the middle of doing that right now, trying to pull in all of October's stats and seeing, how did we do? But, we've been averaging at about a 3% engagement rate. So it's a little bit above industry standards, but I'm like, hey, let's get to 6%. What can we do to get to that next level? Because I'm very competitive and I want to make sure that people, are seeing our great posts that we're making out there. Um, and then just kinda looking back too at the main brand, I think that's important as well, like, how much
Yes,
change have
indeed.
we seen since the inception of this program? So, I went back and I looked at I'm just using this as an example, so quarter 1,
Sure.
2022, and then quarter 1, 2023, I did a comparison, and on Facebook, our engagement increased 189%. And our LinkedIn increased 149%. And I'm like, wow, like, how do I keep that momentum going? And yeah, a lot of it is attributed to the social stars and what they're doing and
Yeah.
getting those stories out there. They're more actively engaged on the bank page.
Mhm.
But also, I tried to bring that human element on what we're posting on the bank side. So thinking like through Black History Month and Women's History Month, I'm bringing in those real raw stories from customers, like share your story. What did you do to get to where you are today? If there's an entrepreneur that wants to be in the same type of industry or just in general, what are some tips that you can give them that set them up for success? And also, we'd like to know a little bit, how did Civista help them as well? But those were such great real stories and connections I made with the people are invaluable. And then in Women's History Month, we actually look towards our own employees. Like, what are some financial tips that you can share? And being everybody has their own personal experience, I heard so many cool stories, and we use the Buy Your Own Flowers campaign is what we called it, kind of based on a song I won't mention, but I
Right.
I, we went that route and it was so successful and the tips that they shared were invaluable to our followers, and then the social stars were sharing those on their platforms, and now I wanna take those again and use them within what we're doing on the social stars end. So
Wow.
it's been a fun learning experience and just trying to find new ways to actively engage and, keep just getting to that next level. That's my goal. Just what's
Yeah.
that next level that we need to do? And then just humanizing everything we do, bringing that community connection within, being a community bank, resonating with our local communities, and just keep, moving forward with that.
And, I'm just picking up the energy and excitement in your voice, and I think that's what you've been sharing is valuable, and I'm glad that you mentioned, the brand itself, so beyond the hard social metrics that, you're tracking, you're looking at your engagement rates and so on, just to see the overall impact to what you're doing does for the brand itself on a global, as it were, level
Yes. Mhm.
across your target markets and target locations. It's really something that I think is another great learning opportunity for companies who want to move in this direction.
Mhm.
Autumn, I'd love to know your toolkit. I find that that's a big question that a lot of folks have, because you've
Mhm.
spoken about the different things you do, the content library and that sort of thing, but what
Yes.
are the actual tools, digital and otherwise, in your toolkit that you've kind of put in place as part of the Social Stars Employee Advocacy Program?
Good question. I use social assurance, and they are in the industry just for like banks and credit unions. That's what they focus on, and they have a wonderful platform. We've been with them since 2016, since we started social media. And they actually have a sales agent, they call it module, where you can pull in the individual person and connect them to their platform. So I took the social stars and we connect them within their LinkedIn in social assurance, and they're able to go in and access this library that I have built out for them. And they also have access to the content creator where they can create their own and they submit it to me and I just kind of double check, make sure like one of my social stars just had one this morning and she submitted an event she attended and it was great. And I published it and it just goes automatically out onto their LinkedIn page. And social assurance is, I mean, they've been a great partner for us throughout all of our social media
Mhm.
advocacy planning and just with the ambassadors, they've been there to help train and just get us on board, making sure that we're doing the right things to make sure that they are set up for success. They're awesome.
Wow, well, that's great. And it's great, I guess, too, that you have a kind of a what really sounds like a one-stop shop kind of
Yes.
a tool. It's not even a kit. It's really a tool that does everything. And I know that
Mhm.
must make your life super easy. Uh,
Definitely.
it's been such a great conversation, Autumn. And I know we're now down to that part of the episode that I typically call the final nugget or the final gem, where I love to ask my guests, of all the wonderful things that you would have shared, what would you say is the key takeaway that you'd love our listeners and viewers to come away with having listened to everything you would have shared?
I'd love to share with the listeners. So I just got two quick things. So first, it's so important to educate yourself and have patience. There's patience is a virtue, they say, and it truly is. If I would have started this program way back when I wanted to, it would not be as successful as it is today. So just take that time, connect with industry leaders, anybody that else that's doing something like this, connect with them and learn from them because that's what's going to set you up for success. And then you start coming up with your own ideas and it's going to take you to that next level. Just have patience and educate yourself. And the second thing I would say is if you truly believe that having an ambassador program for your bank or organization is important to you, don't be afraid to talk about that. Bring that up to your executive team. If you're more comfortable with your supervisor, start there and then just kind of build upon that because if you have a passion for it and you see how this type of program can help you go to that next level with your engagement and getting your brand awareness out there, do it. Don't be afraid because if I wouldn't have been vulnerable and stuck myself out there, I'd still be wondering, "Oh, would this program work?" versus seeing it being successful as it is.
And I think that's a great way for you to kind of wrap what you would have shared, which is just encouraging folks to put themselves out there, be brave, exercise courage, and just go after something that you're passionate about, that you believe in. And as I said at the top of the show, I felt your passion from day one, So from before you launched in March, I knew you were working on this project and you shared once it was launched and you kept me abreast of all the successes that you were experiencing. And I'm like, yes, you need to come on this show and share the awesome details so that folks can benefit. There are so many people that are going to
Yes.
benefit from what you would have shared today. And I'm so very grateful for your generosity in sharing. So, Autumn, final question I ask all my awesome guests who come on the show, which is how can we, the internal marketing tribe, support you?
Well, first, I want to thank you so much for having me on your podcast today. I think this is a very important topic, especially in banking because we're so heavily regulated. And I think just getting these types of stories out there is going to help other bank marketers have that courage to step up and share their importance of this. And just thank you for being an advocate for past ambassador programs. You're so inspirational to me and I appreciate it so much. But I just, for me to help I think connect with, don't be afraid to connect with me on LinkedIn, and I can share who, all my social stars are with you, and, kind of follow our journey, see what we're posting, what we're all about. And if you want to jump in to that realm and learn a little more, I'm happy to share more insights and kind of guide you through creating your own ambassador program in your organization. And
Thanks.
I guess the last thing I really would like to say is just it's a team effort. It's not just, about just developing it, but it wouldn't be what it is today without my Social Stars team. So I wholeheartedly thank them for being a part of this. I think the new group that's coming on board, and I'm excited to see what 2024 holds, and just the executive management, my marketing team, and HR and compliance just for their support in all this. It means the world to me, and I hope everybody listening out there can find some nuggets and have that courage to build a program yourself.
Well, we're excited for you, Autumn. And if 2023's wins for your Social Stars program, if your wins are anything to go by, then 2024 is going to be super exciting.
Yes,
And
can't wait.
so and so I really just want to say thank you again for coming. We wish you all the very, very best on your 2024 journey. And please continue to keep us abreast and posted on everything that's going on and continue to share
Absolutely.
your story. And we will put a link to your LinkedIn in the show notes so that folks who want to reach out can connect with you
Mhm.
there and can continue the conversation if they so wish. Thank you so
Yes,
much for
please
making
do.
yourself available for that. And
Well, thank you for
Civista
having me.
Bank is lucky to have you. Lucky to have you. So we thank you and we appreciate you, Autumn. All the very best to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Internal Marketing Podcast. I'm sure you got some great takeaways from this conversation, and if you haven't already subscribed to the Internal Marketing Podcast, then please join the tribe. And don't forget to leave a review and share this podcast with anyone whom you believe will find it valuable as well. I'm your host, Kerry-Ann Stimson, and I look forward to your joining me next time.